Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. Welcome to another edition of True Crime Strategic, aka we on that as news. I hope you guys had a great week so far. I guess the week is just starting out for most of us. Just want to let you guys know that I am going on vacation as of this Friday. This Friday is the start of my vacation. I'll be on vacation for around 10 or 11 days. We will be cranking out a lot of content. So if you're new to the channel, vacations is when I do my most work. So if you think I put out a lot of content now, like you guys think that I put a lot of content out, it's always double and triple when I'm on vacation. I don't go anywhere. I have no life. Nobody loves me. Nobody wants to invite me across the country to hang out with them. So I stay home in my dungeon and make videos. So yes, we are definitely going to be doing a lot of content. So make sure that all of your notifications are set to all. Like I said, we only go live when we have something probative to talk about. We don't go live just for your views and just to waste your time and tell you about cats and dogs. We go live when there's something to report. So make sure your notifications are set to all so that when we do go live, you're notified by YouTube and we can keep pushing for 100,000 subs by the end of the year. I'm hoping we could get there. We could get there. I have faith. Now, we're talking about Jack and Lilly today. We're back to Jack and Lilly, ladies and gentlemen. Jack and Lilly, if you don't know about the story, you're new to the channel, you haven't heard about this before, this story is out of Canada, and it's a very, 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 very sad case because on May 2nd, 2025, two youngins, Jack and Lilly, Lilly 6 years old, Jack 4 years old, were reported missing by their parents, their mother, their biological mother, and their stepfather. Now, the stepfather and the biological mother do share one child, if I'm not mistaken, and that child is fine. That's a infant baby, just a couple months old. But Jack and Lilly allegedly walked off. That's what the story is for the family, and they're sticking with it. Now, a couple weird things happened that kind of like opened our eyes. Like, number one, why is it that these kids would leave their sliding door, and just go off into the wilderness? There's no evidence that anybody took them so far. Things like the mother and the father immediately splitting, the father, or the stepfather rather, I should make sure that that distinction is evident when I speak about it. The stepfather giving tons of interviews, cooperating, but still seeming a little off, and the mother going into complete dead silence to the point where nobody even knows where she is exactly. There's rumors she might be with this relative, she's in relative, she's with at this province and all this different stuff, but nobody knows where she at, and she's not speaking about the kids other than one interview that she gave, and her affect seemed really off in that interview. So it kind of like piqued the interest of the internet. It should have piqued our interest because of the age of these victims, but it piqued our interest like, did these family members had something to do with the disappearance of these young folks? Well, we got some new information that's kind of like making more questions than it's actually giving answers. So I'm going to go ahead and just put you guys up to speed. Now we're going to kind of go through this. And when we're done with the new information and the different articles that the research crew put forward for us, and big shout out to the research crew. They worked so hard to tabulate and organize this information for me because you guys know I'm busy. Like last night, I worked until 3 in the morning, caught 2 cases, and worked till 3 in the morning. Came home, woke up at 7 in the morning because today is the first day of school for my kids. So I wanted to make sure that I was up for that precious moment. And now I'm doing this show. So we couldn't do this without the support of Aki and the research crew, pretty much, So big shout out to the research crew. Make sure you guys are showing love up there. Like, where is it at? Okay, it's this way. No, this way. Here we go. Yeah, I keep forgetting everything's reversed, right? Anyway, hit that link that says support me and buy coffee because that supports the research crew. That supports the people who keep this show going. So please do show that love, guys. We love you and we appreciate you. All right, so now let's jump in here with these articles. But at the end, there's a really nice article that was behind a paywall that the research crew got for me. That I'm going to read out. That's really going to tell you about the life of Jack and Lilly, the circumstances they're living with. Is very probative. The poverty and all the things that these people who contributed to the article shed some light on the life of these kids, man. It's very sad and it's very probative too. So let's jump into this and let's get up to speed, man. All right, give me a second. Let's do it.
Today, we received a slew of documents connected to the investigation into the missing Sullivan children in Pictou County. 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack vanished more than 3 months ago. Hundreds of pages of just released court documents shed light on what police discovered. CTV late anchor Bruce Frisco has been pouring through it all and joins us with more in the News Center. Bruce.
Well, Todd, the information, as you say, it is contained in court applications filed by investigators for permission to conduct searches for things like phone records, banking records, video related to the case. This is all standard procedure. We're told a lot of the documents are heavily redacted, look just like this, a lot of stuff censored out, but they do include unproven statements made by police, their impressions on what they found. So some basic facts. The children reported missing first at 10 a.m. on May the 2nd from their home in Lansdowne Station by their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray. Police were at the trailer at 10:27 that day. She told the cops she believed the children had wandered away from home, but the exact time for that is redacted. Lie detector tests were administered to the mother and the stepfather on May the 12th, and both passed. An officer noted, quote, "At this point in the investigation, Jack and Lily's disappearance is not believed to be criminal in nature."
This is crazy, guys. This kind of turns us all on our head. We thought we had the perfect case where the parents was most likely the ones involved with the disappearance, and they both passed. They both passed the lie detector test. There's no evidence that they had anything to do with the disappearance of their kids. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. There is one anomaly to this whole giving people lie detector test stuff, and I haven't watched these videos. I'm reacting to it raw with you. If they don't tell you what the anomaly is, I'll tell you what the anomaly is. It has nothing to do with the mother and father, the mother and the stepfather of Jack and Lily, but there is an anomaly there that kind of opens our eyes. But the people that we thought were most likely involved with the disappearance of these two people, Jack and Lily, they passed their lie detector test. Big shout out to Chris Dawson with a $5 super chat, says, "Glad you are looking at this case. I believe the kids are still in the woods." Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we have been looking at this case from day one. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's keep going.
More polygraphs were administered in June to the children's biological father, and he passed. But when police attempted the same test on the children's step-grandmother, they found the test ineffective. I'm quoting again.
Boom.
Her physiology was not suitable for analysis, and an opinion on the polygraph examination was not rendered. End quote.
Wow. Boom. I wonder what it would have been if they did give an opinion, but this is the anomaly. They spoke about it. The grandmother. The anomaly is the grandmother, but maybe it is that she really can't be tested. I mean, if she has the shakes, if she has like neurological issues, it might prevent them from actually getting a good reading. I don't know. I don't want to speculate either. But this is huge because it's almost like those kids were abducted. Where's my tinfoil hat? I got to make another one. I think that one got too crinkled up. We need a new tinfoil hat. It's almost like they got abducted by unearthly creatures. I mean, I'm not trying to make a funny joke out of this, but seriously, where did they go? There's no evidence, no tire marks, no footprints, no nothing that would show that somebody else came and removed those kids. And then, as we covered previously in this case, the woods are not suitable for children their age to traverse. They had a major storm that knocked down tons of trees. The expert searchers said they don't believe that Jack and Lily would be able to go far in the woods, considering how rough the terrain was. Let's keep going.
The documents also confirmed police found Lily's blanket about 1 kilometer away from the house a day after the disappearance, but a sniffer dog couldn't pick up any scents around it. A couple of days later, police found a piece of the same blanket in the garbage at the end of the driveway. Now, perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence came from a woman named Natasha Hayward, who told police she saw 2 children walking along the side of the road on May 2nd. They were holding hands, she said. She said the boy had dirty blonde hair, was wearing shorts. The girl had darkish hair in pigtails. She was wearing a tank top with blue strings. She said the children were walking toward a white female, 50 or 60 years old, who was waiting next to an older model tan or gray or gold sedan, and the back door was open. She later described the children as older than Jack and Lilly, and as far as we know, police have yet been able to corroborate what she allegedly saw on the road that day.
Wow.
A lot of information. We don't seem to be getting much closer, though, Bruce. Thank you for that, starting us off this Friday.
I mean, it's too early to tell with that, man. I mean, the police got to corroborate that, and I got to tell you, man, when these cases happen, there's a lot of weird people out there who have, oh, I saw this and I saw that, and it's not true. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen. When these case happens, the weirdos come out of the woodworks. Now, I'm not saying that this lady is not telling the truth. I'm just telling you, you take this stuff with a grain of salt. It has to be corroborated by police. Because it's all type. I saw this and I saw that and I saw this and saw that. And I don't think that some of these people are like evil or they're trying to like throw the case off. They're well-meaning, but there's a lot of mentally ill people. There's a lot of odd people out there. There's a lot of people who want attention, who are lonely, undiagnosed mental conditions. There's a lot of people out there. And it could just be diabolical people, like Kathleen says, who are clout chasers, who like, I know that this is a lie, but I'd like some attention. I'd like to be in the spotlight. So I'm going to say I saw this. How's it going to hurt? They haven't found the kids anyway. How's it going to hurt anybody? But it does hurt. Once you get into social media like I'm doing, or policing like I'm doing as well, you start to see just how diverse humankind is, and you get to see just how terrible we can be. All right. Anyway, let's keep going. I want to go to the next one. This one's a short one, 2 minutes and 30 minutes. See what they got to say.
Daniel Martel has known since the day Jack and Lilly disappeared that he was a suspect. He's been their stepfather for more than 2 years, living together in this trailer. Martel says that's why he has fully cooperated with police.
Yeah, everything from my phone, doing a polygraph exam, and just ask them to do, here you go, search everything, just do everything you can for the kids, right?
Freshly unsealed court documents detail how RCMP combed through bank records, phone data, and GPS locations. Investigators wanted to know the exact whereabouts of Martel and the children's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, in the days leading up to the children's disappearance, and cross-reference that information with the statements they gave to police. The documents reveal that as of July 16th, investigators did not believe the case was criminal. By that point, 6 polygraph tests had been done, including on both Brooks Murray and Martel. They were also done on Martel's mother, on Brooks Murray's mother and her partner, and on the children's biological father. Brooks Murray was given a polygraph in what police describe as an effort to eliminate her as a suspect in causing her children's disappearance and possible murder. She passed, and so did Martel.
Wow.
They've done a full background check, as much as they could possibly do. And
So he was not lying when he said that. He was not lying. He wasn't lying. I always thought that this guy was weird, but most likely it was the mother. I was wrong. I was 100% wrong, because the mother just came off to me like she was just, ooh. I mean, that's how she presented. They didn't do it.
I mean, I'm pretty thankful for them to spend the time and spend the resources to try to figure out everything.
An extensive search on Martel's property and the surrounding 8.5 square kilometers.
Just take a look at that from this drone footage. Look how densely forested this is. Look how long the driveway is, because remember, Jack and Lilly live back here. They live here and here. And then I think the grandmother lived back here, and I think a brother or somebody else lived back there or something. And the main road is here. But look how much forest, look how densely forested this area is. To think that these kids would be somewhere in this forest is, I mean, it seems highly unlikely in my mind. But then we have to contend with this person who advises that they may have observed 2 kids. Now, I'm wondering the physical description with the clothing, because some people are kind of messed up with ages. But the physical description with the clothing, does that match what Jack and Lilly was wearing? Can the parents corroborate that Jack and Lilly actually had those clothes on that day? Because how would that lady know what Jack and Lilly is wearing when she gave her witness testimony of what she observed if they weren't actually wearing it and it wasn't actually Jack and Lilly? So I don't know. I'd like to know if that was corroborated. If the parents said, yes, they were wearing the blue shirt and all that stuff that she described, and then now that corroborates with what the witness is saying they observed on the side of the road. Who is the older lady with the blonde hair and the gold car? Could that have been the grandmother? I'm not sure. Nobody said, but I'm asking questions. Let's keep going.
Millimeters has turned up only a few clues. One was a boot print matching Lily's size 11 feet. Another was a pink blanket hanging from a tree found by family members of the children's mother. A piece of blanket was also seized from a garbage bin at the end of the family's driveway. Martel says it was the same blanket, but it had been ripped apart and thrown out.
I mean, it's mysterious as it is because the distance from the garbage bin to where the blanket was found is almost 1 kilometer.
RCMP have...
The thing is, I'm American, so we don't know what the hell a kilometer is. What a kilometer is that less than a mile? Because if you say it's a mile, then a mile is far to me. You know, that's like a mile, but a kilometer, I believe, is shorter than a mile, right? So I don't know. Somebody look that up in the Google. I'm in the middle of a show. I can't do it. But how far? Because if you say it's a mile, that's crazy. But I think a kilometer is shorter than a mile. I don't know. Anyway, listen, guys, we have almost 300 people watching this, joining us today. We do appreciate all of the love that we're getting. Please do hit that like button, support the channel. All right, we're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and only your likes and your engagement in the chat could get us there. Somebody said, Lulu, that a kilometer is 0.62 miles. More people is corroborating that. 1 kilometer is 0.62 miles. That still is a long way. If you're using miles, it's 0.62 of 1 mile. It still is a long way. So an adult had to be involved with this, because these kids aren't going to, number one, drop the blanket and then part of the blanket is ripped, and that ripped part of the blanket is going to be put into a dumpster. That doesn't make any sense. There's an adult involved with this disappearance. The question is, who did it? Who did it?
Does that make sense?
Let's keep going.
Previously said Lily's blanket was sent for forensic analysis. To date, police have received 740 tips and more than 9,300 videos, and say a tremendous amount of careful, deliberate, investigative work is ongoing to locate Lily and Jack. Angela McIver.
All right, so I want to jump into, so we got two more articles, but I want to go ahead and skip over these articles. Well, I might come back to them, but I want to read to you what the research crew sent me, because I think that is very probative, man. It's kind of like giving us an insight into how their life is. So I want to do this here and that right there. All right, cool. So I have it side by side. I can still see the chat. Okay. What's all that noise? All right. So unfortunately, you guys can't see it because it's inside of our behind the scenes stuff. But this is really good. It's kind of long. It really is. But I might skip over a lot of stuff because it's like very long. But actually, it looks like there are some things that are highlighted. So we're going to work our way through it. But if I read this, we'll be here for like 15 minutes and I'd be out of breath and exhausted, okay? So let me get my bearings real quick, because I think the first half is all about the search. We don't need to do that. We already went through that. It is what it is. Task, a neighbor who spoke to the Globe. So first of all, what page is that? That's the 4th page. I want to go back up here. First of all, this article was authored by Lindsay Jones and Greg Mercer for the Globe and Mail. and this was published on August 8th, 2025, all right? It was updated on the 11th, all right? So all credit goes to the Globe and Mail and to those authors. They did a really good job. I'd encourage you to go and view this for yourself and read the article in its entirety. Now, let's kind of go down to the highlighted area. So Deputy Minister Craig Beaton about Jack and Lilly on the day the children disappeared, according to the redacted briefing notes obtained by the Globe through Freedom of Information legislation. 2 weeks later, in mid-May, another memo about the children was prepared for the senior staff in the province's Child Welfare Department. Opportunities and Social Development Minister Scott Armstrong, who also told the Globe he asked for more information about his department's interaction with the children, has so far declined to discuss how the government responded to concerns about Jack and Lily's well-being prior to the disappearance. So this is going to be Jack and Lilly prior to their disappearance, the different allegations of, child neglect or whatever, which I think is very probative. So we go. What is known about Jack and Lily's interaction with child welfare and authorities is that a social worker came to the trailer over concerns raised by the school several months before their disappearance to assess their home life. Teachers and other professionals who work with their children have a legal duty to report if they have reasonable grounds to suspect a child has, may have, is, or is about to suffer abuse, and home visits occur when there's reason to be concerned about a child's safety and care. Daniel, however, told the Globe the visits was related to the kids' learning difficulties at school. He said the children were suspected of having autism and were scheduled to see a doctor the same month they vanished. He declined to answer further questions about the involvement of child protection staff in the kids' lives. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Let's keep going. From the outside, there were signs the children's home life was strained. They were developmentally behind other children and arrived at school grubby and without appropriate winter clothing, prompting staff to provide it for them. So basically, this dude and his girlfriend, Danielle, they weren't taking care of these kids. So they may have had nothing to do with the children going missing in terms of actually doing it, but they were negligent, in my opinion, because teachers had to give these kids winter clothes. And now the kids just walk out the house. You guys weren't good parents. You weren't supervising these kids. You weren't properly taking care of these kids' basic needs. And that lack of parenting crossed over into a lack of supervision that resulted in them either A, walking out of the home, or B, being kidnapped out of the home. Either way, you're trashy parents. Anyway, let's keep going. According to school board employee with direct knowledge, the Globe is not identifying the source because they're not authorized to disclose details about students. Last December, Jack came to school with a black eye, according to a photo of him posted by his elementary school. The photo of the class trip on December 13, 2024, 5 months before he and his sister disappeared, shows him sitting next to other students in the forest with a green and purple bruise below his left eye. Another photo shows a possible black eye bruising on Jack's face in a photo taken in September 2024. So how many black eyes is this kid going to have? I got 3 kids. Never one of them has ever had a black eye. I mean, that doesn't mean that a kid can't get a black eye just because mine didn't get a black eye, but I'm just saying, like, come on. How many black eyes can a little boy get at his age in the span of 2-3 months? So in September 4th, there was another photo, an injury that Daniel defended on social media, saying it was caused by Lily. So Lily is beating up her little brother? Come on. Daniel did not respond to questions asking how Jack received the black eye in December, but in private Facebook messages that were shared with the Globe, he acknowledged Jack had many black eyes. One time, Lily punched him in the face, he wrote. He also said Lily had a black eye when the children went missing from an incident with a Tonka truck that occurred on May 1st, the day before the children disappeared. She pushed down on the truck and swung it up and hit him in the face. Unbelievable. I don't believe it, but whatever. Maybe he is innocent as can be. The family was under pressure. A confluence of financial woes left the couple turning to relatives for help. Like many lower-tier workers at the mill, Daniel had been cut back to one shift. A week during the spring thaw because of an annual ban on heavy loading trucks on soggy local roads, his car off the road because it needed repairs he couldn't afford, wasn't drivable, and he had to rely on his uncle, who also worked at the mill, to take him to work, or Malaya, whose maternal grandmother had recently helped her buy a white Nissan SUV. Daniel's father, Earl, but yet these people keep making babies. And this is a big issue that I have, and some people may not agree with me. But if you're poor and you're destitute, why bring more children in the world that you cannot afford? They had an infant. What would the quality of life of Jack and Lilly been, or the quality of life of that family been, period, if they didn't have 3 mouths to feed, they instead had 2 mouths to feed? It doesn't make sense to me, especially when we know that in 2025, in this modern world, there are multiple ways of preventing a pregnancy. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. And then it's like, oh, you know, I want sympathy that I'm poor. Listen, I grew up dirt poor. So I understand it. That's why I'm so against this, because I know what it is to feel like being a poor child growing up without nothing to eat. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's literally horrible when you go in the fridge and there's nothing to eat and you're a kid. So, you know, I'm not saying, we're not talking eugenics here. Everybody has the right to make kids. And poor people oftentimes make the greatest kids because you grow up with a level of fortitude that people who were born with a silver spoon in their mouth don't understand. So poor people who keep on the straight and narrow usually end up becoming solid middle-class people. But shouldn't you be smart about how you make kids? You know, I have 2 daughters, and they were getting older and the house was getting quiet. And I'm like, hey, we should have 1 more kid before we get old. And, you know, we actually sat down and did the math. We actually asked ourselves, do we have childcare? Is your, you know, because her mother, wifey's mother, lives up here. My mother lives in New York City. So my mother would not be much help to us because she's already all the way in New York City. So we asked ourselves, is your mother willing to watch the kids like she did for our 2 daughters? Would she be willing to watch our 3rd child? You know, how much is childcare around here? If not, will we have to mix it up where some days grandma watches and some days she goes to childcare? How much is that going to cost? How much is it going to cost for diapers? Do we remember how much it cost when we had to do diapers for the older kids? And finally, we said, you know what? We could afford another kid, and we had another kid. And guess what? The quality of life that we have so far, thank be it to God, has not diminished because we saw that the numbers worked. We didn't just say, hup, shoot up the club, make another baby, and see what happens. That's crazy to me. It's negligent. It's negligent. And we also don't have to ask anybody else, i.e. the government, to help us. Not saying that that's a bad thing. If you need it, you get it. I was on welfare for a great portion of my youth. If you need it, you get it. I get it. I'm not shaming anybody. But why would you have a kid knowing that that's the route you're going to go? I'm going to have a kid knowing that as soon as this kid is born, we're going to go down to the welfare office and file for benefits. That is negligent to me. We live in the wilderness. We have nowhere to stay. We had to beg grandma for a place to stay. She lets us stay in a dilapidated trailer. We barely could afford to feed ourselves. We can't even afford to drive to a church and get coats for these kids. He don't even have a car. And we're going to make more babies. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Daniel's father, Earl, said he bought the couple groceries and gas and provided firewood to heat their home. They don't even have firewood. Groceries, gas, firewood. They can't do nothing on their own. Daniel, however, denied having any money problems. Of course he is going to deny it. That's why these guys were suspicious to me in the first place, because you can't get the truth out of them. But apparently they passed a lie detector test, so it is what it is. And had claimed to friends that he was getting into investing and turning his life around after a divorce. Other means of cash flow had also been cut off in recent months. Child support payments from Jack and Lilly's biological father had stopped after he lost his job. Malaya's monthly Canada child benefit check or baby bonus, which under federal guidelines would be about $1,900 per month. That's very generous that they're giving that kind of money. They got a baby bonus down there. They giving you $1,900 a month just to make babies? Jeez. Was halted because Daniel hadn't filed his taxes, which were due by April 30th. The struggles didn't end there. Malaya described Daniel as controlling and said she had wanted out, writing in a message to Belinda on June 15th that I never wanted to stay here. Wow, so they were having trouble in paradise. And that probably is a reason why she just disappeared afterwards. It was like, I don't like this guy. The relationship is falling on hard times. And then my children disappeared while I'm living with him. I'm out of here. Kind of makes sense now. Makes a little bit of sense. Anyway, let's keep going. Belinda wrote back saying she wished Malaya would have reached out. Why we would have done what we could to help. I know, Malaya responded. My mom is saying the same thing. Cindy, Malaya's mother, declined to be interviewed. After the children's disappearance, Malaya also confided in her paternal grandmother, Connie Brooks, a member of, I cannot pronounce that, but that is a First Nation. My apologies. I don't want to try and pronounce it and disrespect them by not saying their name correctly. So let's keep moving. She described how Daniel would hold her down and take her phone. He was having her, I don't know what you call it, scared. She couldn't go anywhere as a fly over here, do anything, Connie said. That's what she told me, and that's what I told the detectives. All right, so it looks like they were in a little bit of a DV relationship. When she asked her granddaughter about drug use in the home, she said Malaya told her that Daniel concealed a drug addiction for nearly the first year of their relationship. Daniel did not respond to questions about these allegations, but he has insisted in interviews with the Globe that he's never struggled with drugs and does not have a drug problem. Despite that, he has admitted to taking methamphetamines and pretty much everything, right? So you can't say you don't have a drug problem. You look like a crackhead. I mean, I said that from the jump. I was like, yo, this guy looks like he's on something. People are like, no, he doesn't. He just looked like a mountain man. Yeah, well, you know, you see one crackhead, you see them all. He definitely looks like he's a meth addict, and I say crackhead for everybody. He definitely looks like a meth addict. 100%. But let's keep going. All right. He admitted to taking methamphetamines and pretty much everything. And you can't do that and not be addicted. It's just not how the brain works. These drugs are designer drugs. They were made by mankind in laboratories. If you experiment with them for too long, you are going to get addicted one way or another because that is their design. It's not like marijuana and all that stuff. I don't partake in and never will in those things, but you could use marijuana and never use it again. But these designer drugs that were made by mankind, you're not putting that back down. Maybe you use it one time, okay, you know, but you use it all the time to party, you're going to get addicted. Anyway, let's keep going. He said he recently started attending Narcotics Anonymous 3 times a week. So you're an addict and is taking online courses in anger management. All right, so you're violent, depression, parenting, child protection, substance abuse, suicide, and violent behavior that are recognized by child protective officials. So you're a nut job. I have to clear my name for CPS, he said. It's best to do that. Okay. Without answers, theories abound. For some, maybe there's a way to hold out hope or to shift attention elsewhere. Wow. To me, that was very probative, guys. I haven't heard any of that stuff before. We covered this, but we put it down for a little bit because there are other cases we needed to cover and there were no new developments, but finding that information out was very probative. So let's go back to the articles that we had before. We get you guys up to speed. Big shout out to everybody who's watching. We have almost 400 people watching the stream right now. We do hope that you consider hitting that like button so that we can get into the algorithm and the channel can grow. Let's keep going. Let's scroll up here. All right. New details in the case of missing siblings Jack and Lilly Sullivan were released in court documents, including the results of polygraph tests administered to their parents. The siblings disappeared from their home in rural Nova Scotia on May 2nd, prompting weeks of searches by law enforcement through dense forests. The court files show at least 4 polygraph examinations were conducted by investigators, and that initial polygraphs for the children's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, and stepfather, Daniel Martel, had indicated truthful answers, according to a Friday report from CTV News. Wow. Let's keep going. Why it matters. The case of Lily 6 and Jack 4 have drawn international attention after they were reported missing from their home in rural Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, earlier this year. The release of court documents sheds light on investigative steps taken by RCMP, including forensic testing and wide-ranging record requests, and clarified the investigators have not established reasonable grounds to treat the disappearance as criminal. All this is telling us is that they don't know what the hell happened, ladies and gentlemen. Point blank, period. They don't know what happened. They don't know where these kids are. They have no idea. We'll skip again ahead of what to know because we've already covered that. And what people are saying. An unidentified investigator wrote in a court document cited by CTV News, at this point in the investigation, Jack and Lilly's disappearance is not believed to be a criminal in nature. I do not have reasonable grounds to believe a criminal offense has occurred because Jack and Lilly are still missing. Polygraph examinations were conducted with the intention of ruling out that possibility. Now, it seems like they are weighing those polygraphs really heavily. And I know there's a lot of people from Canada who are following this show and this topic. Do you guys weigh polygraphs that heavily in Canada? Because we don't weigh it that heavily in America. It's a tool. It matters, but it's not admissible in court. So it's not something like we'd say 100% you are innocent of everything because you passed the polygraph. But I'd like to know that. Let's keep going. Belinda Gray. Sorry. I don't know why that popped up. Belinda Gray, the children's paternal grandmother, told the Globe and Mail earlier this month, just what did CPS do? What part were they investigating? What were their concerns and what were they doing? They might even have answers for the investigation on what happened to them or why it might have happened to them. What's next? Investigators continue to perform forensic testing on items recovered from the searches. The RCMP maintained that they had not ruled out any scenario while the files are being assessed under the Missing Persons Act. RCMP asked that anyone with information contact the Nova Scotia Major Crime Unit. Investigators continue to encourage tips as they assess forensic results and witness accounts. I think that's the end of that. Okay. All right. And this is pretty much going to be the same exact thing as what we just read. This is definitely, wow, quite the interesting case. I guess this was in better times. Let's keep going. And this is the infamous sliding doors. The infamous sliding doors. Let's go ahead and skip. Boom.
The top results you get are.
All right. They hit me with another one afterwards. You lied. Is there another one? Lies. You're skipping to the next ad.
Door.
That Jack and Lilly would have.
That Jack and Lilly came out of.
Okay.
It's filthy. It's filthy. Filthy place to live.
So it's the morning of May 2nd. Take me through what happened.
Okay, I was up at 6 o'clock, sat in there and had my tea. And then on Facebook, 7 o'clock.
This is the grandma who could not take the test. Allegedly, physically, she's unable to be tested. Then we have this witness testimony that says that they observed a blonde-haired woman, approximately 50 to 60 years old, waiting at a gold-colored car with the back doors open with two children that allegedly fit the description of Jack and Lilly, walking towards that car on the side of the road. Let's go back. A blonde-haired woman, approximately 50 to 60 years old. This is what the witness said. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what the witness said. Approximately 50 to 60 years old, blonde-haired woman waiting by a gold car with the back door open as the kids walked hand in hand, holding hands toward the blonde lady, towards the car.
On Facebook, 7 o'clock.
And she is unable to be tested via polygraph because of a physical condition that the police did not disclose that made her untestable. So they don't know if she was telling the truth or not during the polygraph. They did not seek results on that test. They sat her down, they hooked her up, they tested her, but during the test they determined that due to her physiology, she's unable to be tested. So whatever results they may have gotten from that test, if they got any results at all, they're not even reading into it because of her physical condition.
I get up, come over here, fed my chickens. My brother, Ron, called me at 8:48 and asked me if I wanted to go to town with him. And I said no. I said, I'm staying home. I said, I'm going back to bed. Okay, I went and I laid down. Next thing you know, my dog started barking and the kids were out in the yard. Now, if you can see, there's 2 swings where the kids play. My bedroom is right there. I heard the kids. This is where the kids' swings are. This is where they always played.
And so that's where
I heard them. And I can hear everything in that trailer. If 2 kids get out of a fence, and Jack and Lilly are all the time yelling, especially Lilly, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go, Jackie. It's all I hear out here.
That I don't know, man. Does that sound like a loving grandmother talking about her step grandkids? Remember, those aren't her biological grandkids. Her step grandkids playing. Did that sound very endearing? Or did that sound like it had a little bit of annoyance in it? Like I'm a little annoyed that's all I hear out here. All I hear, remember, she used to live in peace until Daniel and Malaya came and said, hey, you know, we're down and out. We're homeless. We need a place to live. And she's like, all right, go stay in the trailer. She might have actually lived in the trailer, but gave the trailer up to them because they have kids and went to live inside of that dilapidated RV. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
When the kids get out of the fence and come out through here, I would have heard them yelling, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go. I didn't hear anything. The next thing I heard is I heard Daniel yelling. He was yelling for Jack and Lilly. I didn't get up because I thought he was yelling for Jack and Lilly in the house. So the next thing you know, came out of the trailer after I heard Daniel about, I'd say.
Hey, listen, man, I'm not jumping to conclusions here. I'm not saying grandma did anything. I mean, we did that with Daniel. We did that with Malaya, and we're wrong. At least according to the RCMP, we're wrong. Those people had nothing to do with the disappearance of their children. They was in the bed. You know, you don't get half of the story. They're in the bed either sleeping or they're in the bed banging or they doing something that made them not want to get up and check on their kids. But they said they heard the kids. They just didn't get up. And guess what? If daddy's an addict, allegedly, stepdad, and mommy is, you know, aloof as she looked in her interviews, kind of fits the character of folks who would hear kids playing and be like, whatever, we're just going to stay right here doing whatever we're doing while these kids go to parts unknown. But according to RCMP, they didn't do anything wrong. So we're just asking questions here. We're not accusing grandma of anything. We're just asking questions.
10 minutes after I heard him, I come out of the trailer. I opened up the door, was standing here. Malaya was standing right here with Meadow on her hip. And I come out and I said, what's up? She said, Jack and Lilly are missing. I said, how long? She said, about 20 minutes. I closed the door, got my boots on, came out here, ran up in the woods. Just right up here. The kids have a little fort that they made out of sticks and fir branches, and that's where they go. You can see them and hear them. We went for walks in the woods. I had to practically carry Jack through the woods because there was no way that he was walking through all that tree falls and bushes. I did this whole area. There's an old road up back. When I got up to the top of the hill, I met Daniel. And I said to him, I said, did you find them? He said, no. He said, you coming with me? I said, no. I said, I'm going to search this area. Because when she told me the kids were missing, you automatically think they went into the woods. That was my first instinct. Mm-hmm. So I went up and I did this whole area, this whole wooded area, right up to the top of the dirt road, came back down here, and came back down the side of the road, came back down here.
So people were saying that Malaya was hiding the kids on a reservation or something like that. First of all, I don't think these kids are alive, man. Malaya had no reason to hide the kids. The kids didn't belong to Daniel. If she wants to hide a kid, she should have hid the baby. Let's say she wanted to disappear from Daniel. The only child that they shared was the baby. Jack and Lilly belonged to another guy, and that guy is a piece of ish, 100%. When Malaya left that guy said, it's either we have a family or we have nothing. And he had no contact with his kids. He only paid child support because the government forced him to, but he had no contact with his kids. He never tried to reach out, nothing. Even his mother said that. His mother was honest about it. So she didn't need to disappear from anybody. She was a single mother. She had no baby daddy drama whatsoever with her first baby daddy, the father of Jack and Lilly. She had no drama there. She could have met somebody on, I don't know, date.com and moved to America and fly her kids out of Canada to America, to Europe, to South America, to the Ukraine, to Australia, to wherever, and her baby daddy wouldn't have cared. So why would she drop these kids off on a reservation and hide them there and fake this kidnapping? To what end? For what purpose? Nobody was looking for them. Bio dad was not looking for them. Bio dad was not fighting for custody. There was no custody dispute, no none of that. So that's out the box. I feel like these kids, I don't know what to think, man. I just know they're not here. Whether they went into the woods, they're gone. They were 6 and 4. They're gone if they're in the woods. And if somebody took them, they're gone. Bottom line, they're gone. Let's keep going.
Here I could back up the same spot. I went back into the house by the time the cops were here. I don't know exactly what time. I didn't take my phone. The cops were here. There was a bench sitting here, or a sawhorse, it's over there, was sitting here. I was sitting on it, bawling my eyes out. I was crying because I blame myself for not getting up that morning to see the kids, because if I would have got up, this wouldn't have never happened. Okay?
Well, listen, if she had nothing to do with this, don't blame yourself. There's nothing that you could have done. You know, at the end of the day, we all have a responsibility to protect children, but the parents have an added responsibility. And if what they do every day is they go out and play because these parents are probably not watching them, you just thought it was just another day. You know what I mean? So don't blame yourself, man. But big shout out to Chris Dow. Remember, I cannot read the entire names. For some reason, YouTube doesn't allow me to do that the way it presents it to me. So all I can see is Chris Dow. So Chris Dow with a $4.99 super chat says, Janie has a bad heart. She has on a lot of she on a lot of medication. I believe they're all innocent. Got you. All right. So basically she's saying she thinks that Janie is on a lot of medication, has a bad heart, and she thinks everybody is innocent. They might very well be. I mean, listen, so far the lie detectors has said they're innocent. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for supporting the channel. I do appreciate you. I just don't know. I don't know what to believe. I don't know, okay? I don't know. I'm lost. Nobody is innocent. Nobody is guilty in my book because I just don't know. This is probably the first true mystery that we've covered here on True Crime with Strategic. Every other case we've covered, we've eventually found a perp. We're going through court. We know what's happening. We know that they did it. but this is definitely a mystery. If I had my tinfoil hat, I would put it on right now. Let's keep going.
That's why I was crying.
We've heard a lot about the patio door.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go see that.
Sure.
So this is the patio door.
This is the patio door
that Jack and Lilly would have.
that Jack and Lilly came out of.
And so tell us why we've heard about the patio door.
Because everybody's saying on Facebook.
Tell us a boot the patio door. Tell us a boot the patio door.
On YouTube, on TikTok, that the patio door makes a noise, and why they didn't hear the door open. The bedroom is back there. Okay.
That far window.
The last window is the bedroom.
And so they would have come out this door.
They would have come out this
that
door.
morning.
Yes.
And then they went and played on the swing set.
Yes.
And that's when you heard them.
That's when I heard them. Right here in this area here. I plan on putting a pool up this year for the kids. You need level ground for a pool. That's what I was doing. I was leveling out the ground to set up a pool.
Hey, baby.
And this is the Thursday.
Hold on.
This
let
is
me
Thursday.
mute this.
Right. Friday, all the investigators, search and rescue and everything, right around here was where they found the only footprint.
This is where the boot.
This is where I was raking that night. That's where the boot print was found, in the mud where I was raking.
I thought there was two boot prints.
There was supposed to be a footprint found away up on the pipeline.
Right.
Malaya sent me the picture of it. That's all I know. There was a footprint found.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, the footprint was here. The only one that they can confirm that was Lily and Jack's was right here.
So it was child size.
Yes, a man, one of the investigators came in here and was measuring it all. I'm not here to lie. The reason why I wanted you guys to come here and do the.
I'm sorry about that. My oldest, she's a senior now. Today was her first day of school. She wanted to come tell me how her day was. I'm very proud of her. She's actually taking college courses this year. She did so well. She's honor roll that she's going to be taking college. Like I said AP and she just corrected. She's like, it's not AP classes, Dad. It literally is college courses at the local community college. So she'll be going to high school for a certain amount of time, and this program then allows her to go to the college and take courses. So now when she graduates, she'll already have college courses under her belt that will help her be a little bit ahead when she goes to school. Depending on how many she takes, maybe she'll only have to do 3 years of college. I don't know. I'm very proud of these kids, man. I don't know what I was eating that got into that seed, because it's all me. It's not mommy, right? Maybe I had, I did try and eat mangoes that these kids, maybe it's the mangoes, so keep that, guys. Eat mangoes before you make the babies. These kids are freaking amazing, man. I am very proud of them. They're not perfect. No child is perfect, but these kids are amazing and they make me proud every single day. And it's just, I'm sorry to detour on this, but there's something about when you work your butt off, and you guys know how hard I work, and you sometimes don't get to see them as much, and you feel so guilty about that, but yet they make you proud, and you say to yourself, these sacrifices are not in vain. My sacrifices are paying off because they're making me proud, man. So yes, woof. I'm sorry that I detoured the show, but seeing that young woman who's about to be 18 in like 2 months, yes, enough said. Keep going.
The interview here is to show you exactly where everything took place. And to show people that this is what happened. All the stuff that people, all the rumors and accusations about us murdering the kids and burying them on the property, this place has been searched thoroughly. The well has been checked, the septic tank, all the barns were searched. My RV was searched 3 times.
Right.
The trailer was searched.
I mean, you got to have some sympathy. I mean, we're on YouTube, And we can easily just say, this person is sus and that person is sus and what's up with this and what's up with that. But this is their real life. And I would definitely encourage them not to be on the internet. Don't watch my show. Don't watch other shows because we're just opinion shows, right? But at the end of the day, you got to feel some sympathy because these kids are missing and they knew these kids. These kids were part of their extended family. And for some people, these kids were their children, biological children. Malaya and the biological father who pretty much did nothing for his kids. You got to feel the pain in her voice. So we can say, hey, she looks a little sus, but at the end of the day, we don't know. And she's suffering. And her life is being turned upside down and she has no answers. So we can speculate. That's what we're here to do. But I think we should have a measure of empathy for all of these people because they have taken lie detector tests. The police said she couldn't take a lie detector. That's not her fault. They said they tried and she could not take it because of her physical condition. Her and all these people either tried to take a lie detector test or took the lie detector test, and it was determined that they had nothing to do with the disappearance of these two babies. Let's have a little bit of empathy for them. Let's try at least to have some empathy for them. Let's keep going.
This whole place was searched. If they want to come back and search again, they're more than welcome.
You've talked about drones flying over your property. You've
Yes.
talked about cars driving down the road and
Yes.
slowing down. What's that been like?
I'm scared to go out sometimes in my own property. I mostly stay around back here. And if I do go out front for anything, I usually have my head down because I don't want people to see who I am. That is me myself. It's not because I'm hiding from anybody. I don't like to be on camera. I don't like my picture taken. I'm just a quiet person that just wants to be left alone, and I mind my own business. I'm just a hermit.
Do you feel as if...
All right, big shout out to Mike, 1971-2010 with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. You gave us a sticker if you're watching this on a podcast of a superhero flying. We do appreciate that. It's very kind of you and very generous, my friend. Let's keep going.
the finger has been pointed towards you and Daniel?
Yes, I do. Because I live on the property. Come on.
Do you think your son had anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lilly?
No, I don't believe Daniel had anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lilly. Our heart don't lie, and my heart is telling me that my kid did not have nothing to do with this, and I had nothing to do with this. You know, if something bad happens, you get like your heart drops. Mine hasn't dropped. Deep down in my heart, I do believe Jack and Lilly are alive. It's not because of what people are saying. It's my heart tells me that they are alive.
All right. I mean, listen, we don't know who did it. I'm going to have empathy for her. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have empathy for her because I don't know if she had anything to do with it. And these people have gone through a lot, and we have not found Jack and Lilly after 4 months. Furthermore, these lie detector tests are saying that these folks, a lot of them at least, are not involved. And the people who they cannot prove is not involved, they're unable to take the test, like the grandmother. Interesting stuff, though. Somebody said that she's getting rent for the trailer. You know, should she not get rent for the trailer? I mean, should you allow your adult son and his baby mama to come live on your property for free? I don't think so. I don't want my kids to go anywhere. You know, I love my babies. I want them to stay as long as they want to stay. I do want them to move on with their life and to, you know, get their own. But, you know, if my oldest decides, because she's talking about all these Clark Atlanta and all these different schools and, you know, University of Chicago sending letters and all that stuff. She want to go out there and do that stuff and go away, fine. But if she wants to stay and go to a school in New York, she'll stay here rent-free until she graduate. But as much as I love my kids, once you graduate and you now are working in your career, if you're going to stay here for whatever reason, like you want to save up for a house, I think that'd be smart. Stay here till you're 24, 25, save up for a house, and now you go from your parents' house to a house. That's what we're supposed to do. It's one thing when you're a bum sitting on a couch mooching off your parents. It's another one when you have a plan and we're all working together to make sure that you have that leg up in life. I'm with that, right? But once you turn 21 and you graduate and you start working in your career, you got to give something. You got to give something. So if these folks coming back in their 30s with babies and they have nowhere to go and they got to live with grandma, you got to give something. You got to, pay rent. So I don't hold that against the grandma for charging them allegedly to live on a property. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's any ulterior motives. It's called being responsible adults, right? And if you're going to live on her property, you got to pay her, especially when you're going to now take her out of her comfort zone, which is her trailer. And now she, out of the kindness of her heart, have to move into a dilapidated, all of the spaces seem dilapidated to me, but she have to move into a even more dilapidated and cramped space, which is the RV. So that you guys could be accommodated. Yeah, you should be giving her a little money, so at least she can have a little something in her pocket, and increase her quality of life to a certain extent. Anyway, guys, hit that like button, support the channel. We have over 450 people watching this live stream. We have 291 likes. We ask simply for that like button so that we could get into the algorithm, and that's so that the show can be seen by a wider audience. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Hopefully we'll get there soon. We have less than 3,000 people to get there. In YouTube, you could get those 3,000 people in one day, depending on your content. We're trying to put out quality content from an honest perspective and from a perspective of an active duty detective so that maybe people could find some value out of it and hopefully the channel can grow. Anyway, guys, I got to go to work. I also got to check in with the kids. It's more than an hour live. I think we've been very generous today with our time. We appreciate you for sharing your time with us. Remember, we do have a membership. The membership is insane. That last members only live was crazy. We made that members only live available to everybody to come in and watch when it comes, every member that is. But once the live is over, it's for the higher tiers, for patrolling up. So if you want to see that live and you missed it and you are a recruit member, you might want to consider upgrading to patrol so you can see some of this content that's being put out there. That last live was bananas. Even Aki was getting at me like, no, you doing too much strategic. Slow it down. You want 100. You need to bring it down to a 50 or something. Then I started getting at Aki. We also have a Patreon where we have real and raw strategic, man, on the Patreon, even more raw than we are on the membership. So go consider joining the Patreon so you can see everything that we do and get that unique perspective that I can't necessarily give you guys on the main show, because guess what? YouTube is not nice. It's not a free speech zone on YouTube, if you haven't noticed. That's why we kind of be careful how we speak about these young victims, how we characterize them, because YouTube will hurt the channel. It is what it is. So guys, you guys are amazing. Somebody says we got a P.O. box for gifts. Do we still have the P.O. box? I think I'm still paying for it. I still am, I do have the P.O. box. I gotta cancel it because I need to get a P.O. box closer to my home. The P.O. box I have right now is in the town I used to live in. I want to get a P.O. box. Yeah, actually, I'll get the P.O. box even farther away. I said closer to my home. Why do that? Because then people be like, yeah, I know where you live at. I know the community you live in. No, we're going to get a new P.O. box that will probably be much more advantageous for us to get to than the P.O. box that we have now. So we'll let you guys know. When we had the P.O. box, we still have it. I'm still paying for it. So if you know it and you send something, I'll get it. But when we had a P.O. box before, people send me cool stuff like postcards and stuff like that. And we do appreciate it. It was very kind of them. We like that stuff. We're very sympathetic and what is the other word I wanted to say? Not sympathetic. Sentimental. We're very sentimental people over here. But anyway, consider joining and supporting us if you care. Other than that, big shout out to everybody who showed us love with the super chat. Warlike Fighter gave us a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Make sure we didn't miss anybody. That's about it. All right, we're going to get out of here. All right, so guys, like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. You know what? I have a button here that says outro. Let's experiment and see if it'll work. So rather than me pressing all these different buttons, let me see if on my Stream Deck, let me show you the Stream Deck. This is the Stream Deck right here. That's the Stream Deck. Let me see if the outro works. All right. See you guys on the next one. Let's see. Strategic is out of here. Peace.